Our nose is a little stuffy right now, so we will continue to clear out the nose, because ultimately if your nose is clogged, you can't breathe. And if you can't breathe when you're running, you're not gonna go anywhere. So I'd argue like your breathing and your nostrils and your mouth, whatever you're breathing out of, are almost like your car's mufflers. If you clog those things, they can't let out the toxins of your car and ultimately, you know, help absorb the air, you know, in our case, you know, when we run. So we're almost like a car in a sense, or I feel like I'm a car. And you can argue that when you improve yourself and you improve your engine, I sort of like to think of myself as having a Ferrari engine or a Lamborghini engine. And I didn't start out having the abilities that you might think that I have, or that I may be proud of. These physical abilities that I strived for and worked for, that I worked to have this 600, 700 horsepower engine, because that's what I try to think of myself as I run. And that is only to bring out confidence in myself and realize that I've worked to get to where I am, and I have accomplished certain things that help me keep going as I'm moving forward and making myself better. But in essence, giving yourself an upgrade. Who doesn't want an upgrade? Whether it may be in their cash situation, the work environment, their fitness, especially, you know, hello, you know, who wouldn't want that six-pack or that nice chest, or, you know, big arms? Who doesn't want that? Those upgrades don't come for free. Even if you take shortcuts, those may be short-lived. So let's see. When we cross the street, we made it. Look at that. We made it across the street. So let's say. So yeah, so what was I saying? So why would you want to take shortcuts in life? Like, why would you want to take the easy route? So shortcuts, it may take the form of, I vividly remember wanting to play the lottery. You know, as soon as I turned 18, having family members of mine play the lottery every day, thinking today's my lucky day. You know, I might make that million or mega million or whatever amount of money that's written right there on that ticket, making everybody wanting to play it. And ultimately, what I didn't realize is that that's a shortcut. Why would you try to go and take that shortcut towards making the money that I want to make? And you could even argue that a lot of those people that ultimately won that jackpot and achieved that mega million or sort of whatever money they wanted at such a fast rate, it wasn't enough for them. They didn't know how to handle that money, how to handle people, friends of theirs who they thought were their friends, and family, sad as it may be, asking them for that money, blackmailing them. There's plenty of horror stories about people who have won and have had quite horrendous things done to them. So why would you really stress yourself for something like that in taking the short route that ultimately a few, very few people end up achieving? Why would you want to succumb to such low odds and ultimately for something that a lot of people would argue isn't fulfilling? And that's not to say that a lot of people who have won those things haven't lived extravagant lives and have been quite wise with their money and done great things with it and helped out great many people, but they took the short way. That was the easy way. And for someone like me that loves to work hard and make the most of life, I would much rather take the long route of working on a business, well, first getting a degree, moving up in the job, saving up to get a business, starting a company, then ultimately buying one out, ultimately selling that, and going through such a long journey in itself and getting that money, because that may be your goal at first, but then you may start to realize is that in getting that money and chasing after that, you learn a lot about yourself and about other people, life lessons that may actually shock you and ultimately make you a better man or woman, which you can ultimately pass down. You can't always pass down the money if you don't spend it down, but to your kids and grandkids and family and friends. I love personally when friends teach me stuff, when they show me things that they have learned, whether it may be a success or failure, just having, you know, their insight rubbed onto me and giving me the opportunity to learn from that without actually having to go through that is quite, it's good. It's something that can save you a lot of time, a lot of money. If they fail, if they succeed and are able to teach you, this is what it takes to do this. This is what you should avoid. That'll save you a lot of time and a lot of hardships and give you a better chance of getting to where you need to go, which you may argue is a shortcut, but it's helpful. It's something that that you'll want, that'll expedite the process. And still, you got to put in the work to do it. It's still going to be tough, but it makes it that much easier to do it, to get to where you want to go. So we got this nice little birdie over here crossing the street. Oh my God, that was cool. Whoa. Okay, so they just made it. That was good. I got a little bit nervous there. I even stopped my run, everything, to help make sure that little birdie survives. Try to make a little bit of attention and say, hey, there's a bird in the street, watch out. But those people seem to be on it, so thankfully the birdie's still alive and we lost our rhythm. See, look at that. We made a quick careless drop based upon not having our predefined rhythm that we've been having going for quite a bit of time here. And it sucks because, although I hate to be negative, man, our football is brand new and it's now dirty, so. But it's okay. We're not afraid to get dirty or have our stuff get dirty because ain't nobody got time for that. Why would I want to buy a football and ultimately never use it and just keep it in the back of my closet, taking up space, collecting dust ultimately, and not using it? Who would want to have something like that? So ultimately, or essentially, I'm giving this football, I'm helping it achieve its purpose, and it's to be used for either athletic competition or simply recreationally. So what we're doing out here, we're just using it to run. It's being tossed around, and I hope to eventually use it with my friends, which might be pretty good, and the football might be pretty happy about that, because that's what it was made to do. It was made to be thrown around and played with and enjoyed. So I hope the football is thankful for that. And that concept can be applied to many aspects of life. So hold up, let's see if this guy finally sees us, doesn't kill us. So why would you want to be at football, sitting in that box doing nothing? Why would you want to be that guy, you know, with a PhD, with all these accreditations, to simply not do anything with it, not put yourself out there and go to work and strive to make the most of your degree, or in this case, in this football, make the most of the pigskin, of the leather that was put together for its enjoyment. You could say the pigment or the pigskin of the football could be the hours of education that you put in, that comes together. You know, once it's together, it comes in the form of your degree. The laces could be a license or a medical certification because you want to be a doctor. You have all these things coming together and they form that football, or they form that background of being a doctor or what you need to be a doctor. So why would you want to wait? So why would you want to be that doctor that gets the degrees and everything and doesn't want to work, that just wants to be either in the golf course or sitting around on the beach doing nothing, which has its time and its place. There's no knock on that. I'm not saying you can't enjoy that, but with all that potential that you have going for you, you're that football waiting to be thrown. That football doesn't want to sit on the beach and do nothing. You got to be out there using that, because the time you have on this earth is limited. You're not going to have all that stuff ready to go for you forever. This football's not going to be on this earth forever. It's going to ultimately perish and disappear. So that makes it quite important. It makes the life of it on this earth quite important to ultimately be used. That's what you want to do. You want to use the tools that you are given. You want to use, if you're born in wealth, that money that your parents gave you, or if you're born with a great body or great genetics, you're born tall or even short. Hold up, you dropped it. So even if you're born with quote-unquote deficiencies or things that you may feel hold you back, those still make up the football of your life. Those still can be used towards something great. They may not necessarily set you back, because what you got to realize is that not every person is made equally. Not every football is made the same. So and you may even argue that this is the same model, same company, same everything for the football, but when you look deep into that, you know, you look up under the microscope at that football, there's going to be these tiny cracks, these scratches, little things that you may never know. Even if the football's new, even if you're a baby coming out of the womb with nothing, with no quote-unquote sin or bad things that you've been exposed to, there's still differences in you. So why not use the things that make you different or unique to your advantage? Because ultimately, people don't have what you have. Every person is unique. Every person has things that separate them from other people. Why would you want to be just another person, look like the same, like another person, walk like them, talk like them, when you're this unique being that's simply different from others? You have things that they don't have. So why not use that? Because not everyone has a chance to use those things, whether it may be your height or your money or your physical appearance. Why not use that to your advantage? Rock it with a sort of swagger, like, this is me and I don't care what you think. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna make the most of my life, of the things that I have, and use my strengths and make my weaknesses non-existent, make them better. Don't make them weaknesses anymore, to cancel them out, because I'm given that opportunity And why should I waste that in this life? So with that, make the most of your life. Use everything you've been given. It's a blessing, even though it may not appear so at first. It is. It's something that probably no one else has, or such few people have on this earth, that it's a rarity. And that's what makes life so great, is these differences. You can even argue that some people may get into like a horrific accident and have these huge scars on their face. People may look at them all strange and stuff, but that person can use that for the betterment of themselves and others. They can use that to teach other people what it's like to be them. You know, what happened for them to get into the position they got into, and how it's changed them, how it's shaped their life, and offer their wisdom and experiences for others to take in and enjoy, and ultimately provide theirs and give back to that person with the scar, the, you know, unfortunately medical disposition that they were inflicted. And what happens is there becomes this loop of giving and receiving that is something that's really great, because you just keep giving to others. You feel great about that giving, hopefully, you know, and from that you become more likely to receive things in return. And that loop generally makes you a better person. You're growing more and more from taking in from others, because you don't want to be a lone wolf out in this world fighting your own battles. What you'll come to realize is that others can make your work so much easier, or your objectives or your goals. You might, like the Beatles song, getting by with a little help from your friends. You might need a little help from your friends to get to where you need to be, because ultimately it might be impossible. How can you get a top role in the engineering job, in my case, because I'm an engineer, if I don't know anybody in that job and I desire to just do everything on my own, build an entire lab from scratch in my house and buy all the products, when it can be expedited if I simply reach out to a company and apply for work and interview and offer my abilities and my experiences for that company, and offer to give to them, for them to give back to me and offer me that job or that ability to essentially touch the world in the form of building a robot, is how you can get by with a little help from your friends. And that's not to say that people haven't done things like that before. People have built labs in their own house and have done some pretty remarkable things on their own, but you could argue that that's a much harder route. That's something that may take a lot more time and effort, and may ultimately be without reason, maybe useless, because you could have just done that on your own. I mean, not done it on your own. You could have just had someone help you out and make things a lot easier. So with that said, look out, reach out to people, make a LinkedIn, make connections at your college or your workplace, even if it may be somewhere where you don't think you might have the greatest connections being formed, but it may be something that may interest you and help you out in the future when you, and not to look towards making these connections for simply your enhancement and do it to expect things in return, but to do them, put your head down and keep working and keep reaching out, and then ultimately you will look up and be essentially surprised when people give back to you and offer their help. And that might be quite good in a sense.